Hey everybody, I'm Mama Baird. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I have another food bank stories for you. Now, these are stories that real life people have emailed them to me and they want to share their experience with you guys as well. Because going to the food bank can have some stigma to it. You can feel like you can feel embarrassed, or people can try and make you feel ashamed for needing additional help. But everybody's here to tell you that that is not true. There's nothing to be ashamed about. Everybody needs help. So I'm here to share your story. So if you have a story for me, make sure you email me at mamabairdspantry@gmail.com. Put in the title that it's a food bank story. I'm not gonna read it in that moment, but I'll message you back, let you know that I got it, so I can read it out loud for you guys. Before we get into the stories though, you might have noticed I have a new chair. Now guys, this was super easy. I put this together myself in under an hour, so I'm super proud of it. It did not require a husband. I might have put something, he's like, you put one screw in backwards. I was like, oh, okay. But other than that, I did pretty good. This is so comfy. Now this is outdoor furniture, but it fits perfectly in here. One thing about some chairs is that I'm short, so I can't reach to the floor, so I can't actually rock because I'm too short. I love that I can rock. It also has plenty room for my expanding hips. You know, sometimes you sit into chairs, and if you're a bigger person, they can cut into you, and it's uncomfortable, it's embarrassing. So I like that this is a really big chair. I feel super comfortable in here. I don't feel like I'm going to fall. I've had a kid sitting on me as well, rocking, and it's really sturdy. I'm super excited to add this rocking chair to my furniture set. Blue Bona is an amazing company that has all kinds of outdoor furniture and indoor as well. They have sofas, chairs, storage ottomans, they have footstools. There's some different bar stools that they have. These are high quality items that will last for a while. And they got cool colors or funky colors. I hope you give them a try. I will have this chair linked, and if you use my code, you will get an exclusive discount. We're talking 15% off their whole entire website. So use my code BAIRD15. Now let's get to the food bank stories. Here we go. Story number 1. I love how you are collecting food bank stories. Years ago, I was very ill, but recovering, unemployed, and only had Social Security, widow's benefits, and unemployment insurance going on, and I was struggling desperately to hold on to my house. A friend recommended that I try out the food bank, and I took transit downtown to the food bank and explained my story. They gave us a generous amount since we are a house of 4, but the things that the food bank did not have were some pantry staples that I was totally out of. This food bank did not supply flour, sugar, salt, spices, oil, or other fat, and I had not developed the acquisition skills that I have today. One afternoon after therapy, I was feeling particularly puny, and one of the ladies came and talked to me about food stamps. I knew about them, but I never in 100 years did it dawn on me that I might be eligible for them. Sure enough, I got enough for myself for 6 weeks, with the intent to tell the other house members to follow up with food stamps application of their own. I remember telling the caseworkers when he handed me a card with that much money on it that I was going across the street to the natural food store to buy a bottle of olive oil, a bag of salad greens, and whatever other veggies that suited my very tender tummy. He said that cooking oil was much cheaper than olive oil, and I replied, "But I'm craving olive oil." Someone or something was watching out for me because I walked across the street to find a manager's markdown on half a liter of EVOO, cold press, some ripe tomatoes, and some marked down peppers, an entire bin of salad greens at regular price, but I didn't care. That EVOO that I got was just about the same price as basic soybean oil everywhere else because of the manager's markdown. I also got some balsamic vinegar from the bulk section and 2 lemons. That was by far the most delicious meal I have ever made. Oh my gosh. What a great first meal for someone who has not been able to just go to a store and pick out what sounds good. You know, that is a privilege and a luxury that not everybody has, to be able to just go and buy whatever you want that sounds good. And the fact that you, even though you had a lot of money, you still shopped the markdowns. That's what I like about the story. I was learning so much so rapidly, and I continued to work towards maximizing my value per grocery dollar. Yes. During that time, I would go to the food bank early in the week and plan my meals around what was in my food bank box. Good. I knew that I had been approved for 6 months of SNAP, which is the food stamps, but I was so stingy with that resource that it lasted for past the time that I was no longer eligible for them. Good job. I only bought essential items that I could not get elsewhere, and it's amazing what a morale booster it is to have some tea with sugar and coffee with cream. Those were my luxury items. I feel that. I get cream for my coffee. It's kind of the one thing I always make sure that I have for myself is half and half to be able to enjoy my coffee, because I feel like I go without a lot, so we can get that stuff. So I really feel that. I absolutely loved the bulk section at the natural food store. I could go get only what I needed without having to overbuy. Meal planning around the food bank box became habitual and indeed fun. It became an adventure to figure out different meal plans from the many other countries and cuisines. I began to put weight back on and feel so much better. Some months later, I started working part-time and then full-time and made a full recovery and was soon retired again. Oh, good job. One of the things that you may be unaware of, but it might help some others in a similar situation to my own. I depend on a service dog, and I mean that with all sincerity. Food stamps did not cover dog food, so I was particular about getting cheap chicken, rice, and lentils to feed her. But she was still losing weight. I reached out to the local chapter of the Canine Companions for Independence and 4 Paws for Freedom, as well as local PetSmart. These resources enabled me to get dog food for her so that her health improved along with my own. Aww, that is awesome. So I will have those that she just listed for resources. I will have those listed in the description box if you need help with your animals, to see if you can contact them. Okay. I am so grateful to the food bank and to the workers there who helped me with the SNAP benefits. And even though I have recovered and am working full time and earning a good salary, I will always remember this episode. This is why I have a monthly allotment from my checking account to the food bank. Not to pay it back, but to pay it forward. Love to you and yours, Delaney, aka Tika, California. Aw, Tika, thank you so much for sharing that. That's great that you are paying the food bank forward with that. I also love the tip about really stretching your food stamps. A lot of people have this stigma behind food stamps that people who get food stamps are buying lobsters and ribeyes and they have to struggle and actually pay for their high quality meat, but people on food stamps just run in and grab all that. They wish they could do that. You know, I've heard those stories, so people can be really hard on people who have food stamps. And yeah, some people may blow it on that, but again, you don't know their situation. There's a lot of moms who use food stamps and really have to stretch them because they make it work. So if you know how to cook, chicken, rice, lentils, beans, that's how you make your food stamp dollar stretch, is by cooking food at home versus grabbing the pre-made corn dogs and chicken nuggets, even though those are good to have on hand for those hungry kids. Tika, thank you so much for your story. That was a good one. I like that story included both food stamps and the food bank, because it's definitely, there's nothing wrong with using both. There's nothing wrong, like she said, go to the food bank, get your allotted amount, your box of food, see what you have, shop the sales, see what's in your pantry, and make your meal plan for the day. Story number 2. Dear Mama Baird, as you know, I struggled with sending my food pantry experience. It's not my first, but it's my first experience after a massive stroke in 2013. My mom, who I affectionately call Chirpy, would go when I was younger, and we were a 2-person single-parent household in the 80s and 90s. This time, though, is different because it was me going for the first time as an adult. I know the feeling of feeling insignificant, but after I survived my massive stroke, I really felt overlooked and insignificant. I was afraid that I wouldn't matter or be seen because I'm disabled, but I do have a home on SSI and get EBT for food, but no kids. Basically, I thought food banks were for the homeless or for those who have kids. Then I saw your video rant, and you made some very valid and enlightening points. It was a good rant. However, I couldn't physically get to my local food bank because of my wheelchair transport bus. I was limited to grocery and medical only, and since the food pantry was run by a Mennonite church, it was considered a luxury activity. Since I was disabled and homebound at the time, I didn't have my mobility scooter at that point. I qualified for their disabled and homebound delivery program. I was assigned the second and fourth Thursday of every month. They asked me how many were living with me, but it surprised me that they didn't ask for my income. They told me that they will try to provide 3 days of breakfasts, lunches, and dinners with snacks. My first delivery surprised me because I got a bag full of canned goods. I can't remember everything, but here's what I do remember. Box of Frosted Flakes, name brand with Tony the Tiger, surprised me. 4 individual bags of powdered milk, 2 cans of applesauce, 4 cans of veggies, 1 pound of spaghetti noodles, 1 can of pasta sauce, bulk bag of quick oats, creamy peanut butter, and a variety bag of little individual jellies, strawberries, apples, etc. I also got a bread, a sweet, and a meat, but I can't remember specifically what they were. All I know is that I was very surprised at how much I received and was very thankful. Later on, they learned that I didn't mind powdered milk because I can't drink fresh milk fast enough before it goes bad. So at least once a month, they would send me 10 to 12 powdered milk pouches since I was one of the only few who really enjoyed getting them. Once the food bank finds out you like something, they will overload you, especially if it's not a popular item. Now to today. My previous food bank helped me get in contact with a local food bank here in my new city. They had me all set up and ready to go on the 2nd and 4th Wednesday after I moved June 1st. I got my first delivery a week after moving here. They surprised me because I got fresh produce, 3 medium tomatoes, a green pepper, a zucchini, and a crookneck squash, yellow squash. I later found out that it was run by a local church and they had a garden that they grow for the homebound delivery and the walk-in free fresh market pantry. Mine has a garden as well that they grow for the food bank specifically. When asked what I do with the food, I tell them I supplement my EBT with it to stretch my EBT as far as I can. Another story about someone stretching their EBT, especially now with inflation. Even as a single person with EBT max benefits, it doesn't go that far. By the way, if I get something I can't or don't use, I have a neighbor here who's also on the program and give them to her. Last week I got 2 onions, and with my sensitivity to the onion family, I only use a powdered version, so I gave her 2 of the onions. This is from TE. Thank you so much, TE, for sharing that story. Not only a past experience with the food bank story, but your current one and how you use your EBT and your food bank to survive, because it is hard right now, and inflation is just going to get worse. Times are just getting tougher. The bubble is going to pop eventually, and we need to be prepared for it. So we need to use all of our resources now while we can to help us get through. Well, thank you so much, TE, for submitting that. That was a great story. All right, guys, now we have story number 3. Hi, my name is Carol. I felt like I was stealing the first time I took a can of fruit from the blessing box. If you guys don't know what blessing boxes are, those are like pantries that people set up in communities or like by a grocery store or something, where it's just like a pantry that has dry goods or non-perishable goods that anybody in the community can put up there and anybody from the community can take from there. So that's kind of a blessing box is what they call them. But that can of fruit was the first fruit that I've had in at least 3 months. Later, I found that I qualified for a senior stock box. This is a box of food items that the Hungry Task Force delivers to me once a month. Ooh, Hungry Task Force. I'll leave that in the description boxes below as well if anybody needs to check out that one. I haven't heard of that resource before. Some people in other areas get something similar, but it's called a commodities box. I have several food allergies and can't eat at least half of the food that I get. It felt so good to be able to fill that blessing box with those items that I can't use. Oh, that's a great idea. Since then, I found 4 food pantries nearby. I go to 2 of them each week. I used to feel guilty until I watched Mama Baird's channel. After hearing what she said about food banks, I asked the people at food banks if they ever ran out. One of the 4 often does, but they often have food left over and stand outside with a sign offering free food until it's all gone. They are newer. Another opened in the 70s and has never run out. They're usually tossed perishable foods at the end of the day. Another one has non-perishable items that are donated. They are unlimited. We are allowed to choose 2 items from each table, then given 2 bags. Wow. Items that are past the sell-by date are unlimited. They are tossed if nobody takes them, but they are usually gone before the food bank closes for the day. The 4th one doesn't run out and tosses perishable foods that don't get taken. So I no longer feel bad about using the food bank, and I feel very good to be able to pass on the foods that I can't eat. I wish that I had started going sooner. Aw, thank you so much for sharing, Carol. Also, I love your name. This is a good story that shows how people, how they first start, they feel like they're stealing. They feel like, oh, I could be taking it from somebody who needs it more than me. If you haven't had any fruit in 3 months, take the can of fruit, you know, like find if you have any blessing boxes around, see what your local food bank is. There's no shame in getting help. So many people are struggling. Thank you, Carol, for sharing that story. That was a great story. All right, story number 4. This is from Patty C. Hi, Carolina and all. My story is about food stamps and being shamed about needing them to help my family. My husband had a massive heart attack many years ago, couldn't work, took 2 years to get on disability. Wow. He's since passed away. I'm so sorry, Patty. I know you have mentioned that in some of my my lives and stuff. And big hug. Oh, big hug. Give me a hug. I couldn't imagine losing my hubby, so big hug. We have a small steel family business. There's no income at the time, which was so upsetting. And I thought I'd need help to feed my family, 4 kids, myself, and husband. However, when some family members, friends, not really anymore, they were not kind, really mean, saying food stamps are only for really poor, homeless people and I should be ashamed. Wow. I couldn't believe they'd be so cruel. Then they also said I'd better get out of town or state to shop so no one would recognize me. Oh my gosh. See, that's their embarrassment getting projected onto you. Holy cow. Why would anybody say that to somebody? So ridiculous. Good. And I remember thinking I'm staying in my city, shopping close to home, couldn't afford the gas. Well, the first time I used my card, I was very nervous, watching around me, but after that I felt better and decided to only think about the good food and helping my family, and there's no shame at all that we were needing help. Good. Don't let other people make you feel the shame that they would feel. No, get the help. I've always been the person to help anyone in need, so this time we were in need. Yep. No one should ever feel shame. Thank you so much for reading these stories and helping people as you do to feel okay with getting help. God bless you. You're awesome. Much love. Blessings from Patty C. Oh, thank you, Patty, for sharing that story. It is ridiculous how some people will shame others for getting food stamps. And I think it's that stigma that you can't take care of your family, just like food banks. Like getting any kind of assistance is shameful. And then they're whole, the government tries to get you addicted to the services so you can't take care, yada, 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 yada. You know, like people blame the victims of the system, not the system itself, you know? Awesome. Thank you, Patty. All right, we have our last story, story number 5. This is from Trish. It says, good afternoon, Mama Baird. I want to start by saying how much I enjoy your channel, and I'm thankful that you show real pantry orders and what to do and how to cook everything up. I have recommended your channel to several clients I work with. Oh, well, thank you. I'm so great. Yeah. I was a social worker for several years, and due to my son's disability, I had to go part-time. Still work for the same agency, but I am in a different role, but still work with folks who access our pantry. Our agency has a food pantry that people can access once per month for a food order. Our local grocery stores donate items that are extra or near the use by date. That's the best way to do it, is get the grocery stores to donate their foods. We also receive government commodities, and local farmers and gardeners will donate as well. That sounds a lot like my food bank. We also have another agency that people can access once per week that also receives grocery store donations. These are more fresh foods instead of canned foods. It's not taken, the fresh food will be thrown in the trash, which nobody wants. Please take it if you can, or use it, or share it with someone who will. I'm telling you guys, this food goes in the trash. I work mainly with elderly folks now, and we are seeing a huge rise in grandparents having to raise their grandchildren. So many seniors can barely get by themselves, but add in kids and the cost skyrockets. When people have access to food banks, that money from the grocery store budget is freed up. They can pay for their medication, rent, utilities, etc. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Thank you. I could share stories for hours, but the biggest issue I see in our neck of the woods in Missouri is grandparents having to take guardianship of their grandchildren so they can stay out of the foster care system. Again, food should be the last thing people should have to worry about in that situation. Our area also has a Backpack Buddies program where kids have food sent home every Friday in their backpacks to help supplement them through the weekend. If a child is hungry, they cannot learn. Aw, I know I ramble and can be long-winded, so please condense as needed. No, it was great. Again, thank you for sharing your story, and take care, Trish. Aw, Trish, thank you so much for sharing that. I used to live in Missouri. I moved here 3 years ago, and that's crazy that there's a lot of grandparents. I personally know of a set of grandparents that had to take on their 2 grandkids to raise them. And so they're living with them, and they just all of a sudden got bombarded with having 2 kids to raise, and it's after their kids are grown. It's really tough out there right now, and the last thing we need to be doing is shaming and criticizing each other. So thank you everybody for feeling comfortable to share your story with me. If you have a story of food insecurity or something that you feel will be relevant that you want other people to know, please email me at mamabairdspantry@gmail.com. Let me hear your story. Let me share it with other people so you guys can know that you're not alone and we are all here to support each other. If you're interested in joining my Facebook page, it's Mama Bear's Homestead. So please join that. We share a lot of recipes and just overall support for each other. Thank you so much for watching, listening to other people's stories. And don't forget to use my link to go over and check out Lubana's website for a wonderful rocking chair of your own. All right, guys, well, I'll catch you next time on Mama Beards.